Welcome to Intuitive Alchemy, where we recode your reality from the inside out. I'm your host, Sydney, trained intuitive, energetic alchemist, and certified hypnotherapist. And this podcast is here for the woman who is done playing small. Here, we go deep into energy, identity, universal law, source truths, and the neuroscience behind what actually creates lasting change. No fluff, no filters, just conversations that shift your frequency and call you back to the most powerful version of you, the one who knows it was always her and it can only be gotten from her. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to Intuitive Alchemy, where we recode our reality from the inside out. Gosh, it feels like it's been so long since I recorded an episode because I had kind of batch recorded last week's episode because I was on vacation, my little birthday trip last week. Last Monday was my birthday. I am 32 now and I'm so excited about it. I think 32 is going to be amazing. And well, I think every year is amazing in its own way. And I think that that is an absolute choice. And that's a story that we can tell ourselves and we should tell ourselves, which I have talked about that in a previous podcast episode about the stories we tell ourselves and how important they are and how they literally come true. So why would we not want to tell ourselves a good and helpful and exciting story? So anyway, so excited as well about the announcement that I made on social media and on the podcast last week for my new program, Recode. This is there's so much I want to say about this. So it's going to be my signature program. It's 10 weeks, although the more that I create, the more that I'm like, this could be easily like 12 weeks. This could easily be more than 10 weeks. It's already like, I have the plan for all the modules. I have some of them created and some of them I'm still creating, but oh my gosh, it is just like literally the program that I wish that I had a few years ago. But my lived experience and the culmination of so many different mentors that I've had over the years are going to be poured into this program. And I just can't wait to share it. And I can't wait for it to serve you in the way that all of the information and energetic medicine and energy healing and all of that has served me. I cannot wait for you to experience that. And if you haven't already, go back and listen to last week's episode. It's module 1, which I'm sharing just completely as my little birthday gift to you for it's module 1 of Recode, and it's where I talk, it's like Intuition 101. Now, there is so much deeper to go with intuition, but because Recode is not an intuition course in and of itself, like obviously intuition is weaved into absolutely everything. But because Recode is not me teaching you how to do all the things with intuition, I want you to have at least a baseline understanding. I'm not going to get super deep into it, but module 1 that I shared last week just kind of goes into the foundation of intuition, what it is, what it feels like, how you can experience it, what are the psychic channels, aka the clairs, and how to know, like, not from movies and not from how it's portrayed on TV or, like the silly stuff of like, okay, you rub a crystal ball and then you get this really dramatic vision and it all makes perfect sense and it's in consequential order and everything. And that's just like not typically how like clairvoyance actually works. And not to mention, the other 3 clairs that are the most common. So I talk about each of those and I talk about how I experience my own intuition as well. You might relate to that. Also, I give you 4 different ways to get yes and no answers from your intuition, your higher self, your inner guidance, which can, I mean, that alone, even if you never learned how to, go deeper and like read your soul contract and past lives and, do percentages or anything, like even if you never went deeper and you only knew how to get yes and no answers from your higher self and from like, just your intuition, it would change your life. I mean, still, I would say still the majority of the daily, like day-to-day ways that I use my intuition is through yes and no, because really you can get almost any information that you need or want from a yes or no statement with your intuition, which in the module, I talk about statements versus questions and how we want to use statements instead of questions. And so anyway, I go super in depth about it, and I would love it if you listen to it and let me know what you think and, if it makes sense to you and if what you experience when you start practicing and playing with it, getting those yes and no's from yourself and seeing how you experience that. What are the ways that you like the best? And what are the ways that maybe are still developing? Like maybe you get really strong yes and no's through the color technique that I talk about, but maybe you're not quite feeling it in your body, what a yes feels like or what a no feels like. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just something that, maybe your sentience is still developing. Also, a fun little thing that I did is I loved, and I actually still love, like all those quizzes, like, back when magazines, like actual physical magazines were super popular, which I know they still exist, but I can't tell you the last time I bought one. So, but back whenever like, Cosmopolitan and 17 and like all these, magazines that we would read, they would have little like personality quizzes or what's your flirting style or whatever, just silly stuff like that. Like I just love that stuff, and I still do. Like anytime I see a quiz about find out what your archetype is or find out da 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 da, like I'm all over that shit. I love it. I think it's so fun. I am obsessed with getting to know myself better and just learn more about my soul and who I came here to be, and remember more of who I came here to be, because I think that is the whole entire purpose of our lives, is to know yourself and to learn about yourself, and to, why would I not want to know exactly who my soul chose to come here and be in this lifetime? It's wild to me when, and this is, I don't say this in a judgmental way, but it's wild to me when people come to Earth and they don't, like, that's not really a priority. Like they're just kind of not knowing themselves in a really deep way. And again, not judgmental, like that's a lesson that they have to learn and something that they have to get comfortable with. But anyway, it's not me. I am obsessed with knowing myself. So we love the quizzes. Even if it's just kind of like a surface level, like for fun thing, I think it's fun. I think it's playful. And so for that reason, I decided to create a little free quiz. It's 7 questions for you to see which of your clairs are the strongest. So your clairs are your psychic channels. So it's clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, and clairvoyance. Those are, I mean, there's other ones as well, but those are like the main ones that you will hear talked about. And, so you can take that fun little free quiz and get percentages on how much are you clairvoyant or how much are you clairaudient or, whatever. And there's a little description that will go with each of the clairs. So you can kind of, learn a little bit more about them as well. And I talk about them, like I said, in module 1 of Recode, which is the last episode, which is called Intuition 101. how to connect to your internal GPS or your inner GPS. So I would love it if you would take that quiz if you're just like into that stuff like me. I mean, this is for the girlies. I'm not saying that guys can't take it too, but this is for the girlies who grew up in like the 90s and were into that stuff. So I would love it if you would take it and let me know what your results are. So fun. So the way that you can take it is I will link it in the show notes. It's also available at the link in my Instagram bio. And what's going to happen is you are going to put your name, your first name, and your email into the form, and then it's going to email you automatically the link to take the quiz. So that's what's going to happen, and then you'll get your results immediately. And I can't wait to hear what your results are. Feel free to share on your story and tag me, or you can DM me if you're not about that posting on Instagram stories life, which I understand. So that's actually what I want to talk about today. A couple things. Today, I actually literally don't even have an outline. I am just riffing on this episode and really what's been going on for me and how I've been feeling. And so I don't really need an outline for that because I'm just speaking from the heart. So, we'll just have to see, I don't even know what I'm going to title this yet. We'll just have to see what comes out. So as I mentioned, last week I was on vacation and I had my birthday, and Corey and I went to my parents' house. They have a house in the mountains in Colorado, and it's like really rural. Like it's in the mountains. Like we're talking almost an hour to get to a town. So it's out there. And we were just like in nature, and we were relaxing and doing nothing, or, going on walks and, just doing, we did go to some, like we went to Crested Butte, we went to Ouray, we went to some places too, and got out of the house, but also like we just chilled. And that was the first time. I chill at home a lot, but it's different, whenever you're on vacation and you truly don't have any like responsibilities. We brought the dogs with us, so we had the dogs as our responsibilities, but I don't know. It's just something about like going and kind of being taken care of in a way, like on vacation, whether it's from like staff at a hotel or whether it's like, we were at my parents were there too. So they were, feeding us and all that stuff. And it just like, I don't know, it just feels really cool to be taken care of and to be like, okay, I can just kind of be like a kid again. I don't have to worry about anything really. So that was fun. And I just noticed myself like going into the trip, I had the idea that I was going to be like posting all the time, and I was going to be sharing so much of my trip and my experience. And then I got there and I just like literally didn't even think of posting. I didn't, I took some pictures, I took a few videos, but like I haven't shared them yet really. Like I shared a few photos on my stories, but like for the most part, I just was like wanting to be present, and I was feeling very tired and just like not like I wanted to share everything. And not in like a secretive, I don't want people to know what I'm doing kind of a way, but just like, it's just not my first thought whenever I'm doing something or I'm experiencing something or even going like healing something, going through something. It's just not my first inclination to share it and to like film it or to talk about it and put it out there in public. And so what I noticed is I started telling myself a story, which was not helpful, of like, I'm wrong for that, because in order to be successful And in order to grow and, find more of your community and blah, 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 you have to share more. And I'm looking at like some of my really, really good friends, like amazing friends who in my eyes and in my mind have social media like on lock, like just have it mastered from my perception. Like they may not feel that way, but from my perception they have it mastered, and they're just like sharing, and I love to consume it. Like I'm just like, oh my gosh, yes. And like when they don't post for a little bit, I'm like, what's going on, where what are they doing, how are they, like where are they? And so in my mind, like I think both probably my logical conscious mind and my subconscious mind, I was feeling and still am I'm working through this in real time. Like that is the right thing to do and the right way to do it. And what I'm doing, which is not posting a whole lot, not sharing a whole lot, is the wrong thing to do. And so I was actually just today on my little bestie intuition group chat, talking with a couple of my girlfriends about this, of like, why, like, where is this block coming from for me, where sometimes I'm feeling super motivated to post and I feel like I've got so much to say and I've got like ideas just absolutely up to my ears. Like I am just full of ideas and I want to execute them. Like I have the energy and the capacity to want to execute on them. And then sometimes I'm like, I literally can't imagine editing a reel or even doing a carousel post. Like I can't even imagine doing that. Not because I don't have ideas or I don't have things to say, but I'm just like, literally, I don't have the energetic capacity to do so. And it is just not my inclination to even like want to even get on stories or something and talk about that and be like, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm going through. This is what I'm experiencing. And so what was reflected to me through one of the girls on the group text is, she's like, I think you're aware of this, but that's a limiting belief. Like you're telling yourself that it has to look a certain way and success is this one thing. And if you're not doing that, or if you're not wanting to do that, or you feel resistance, or that doesn't feel natural to you, like you're wrong and you're not going to be as successful because you're not doing it the right way, the quote unquote right way. And when I look into that, like, yes, that is true. I was telling myself this story of like, in order to be at the level that I want to be at and to help as many women and people as I want to help and to grow my community, to do this and this and this and this, I need to do this, this, and this. And that's just not true. And so there are so many ways to get to the outcome that you want and that your soul wants. And that's another aspect of this too, is like how much of your desire for something, or how much of my desire for something is a soul desire versus a human, like egoic desire. And ego does not need to be a negative thing. Like ego is actually very important and it protects us and it's essential. But how much of something that you're wanting is soul and how much of it is like your personality desiring something, or you seeking validation through means of something external. So basically what I want to come on here and say is, where are you potentially limiting yourself because you're telling yourself like, oh, it has to look this way, or it has to come in this way, or like I have to do it this way, or it won't be good enough, or it won't be successful, or, whatever. If you hate social media, which I don't, I love social media, but let's say that you hate it and you started a business and you're like, okay, well, I hate social media and it's super triggering to me, but I don't think that I can have a successful business without being on social media. And so you're telling yourself that story, but then you're maybe you're even posting consistently, but it's like begrudgingly. Like it's not from a super high frequency. It's not from a place of like empowerment and I get to do things my way and be successful. Like you're doing it from an I have to do this, but I don't want to do this, but I have to in order to be successful. Like people are going to sense that about you, and they may not be able to actually like put that into words, but they're going to know that something's off, like something's a little bit icky, and they're probably not going to resonate with your content in the way that they could if you were sharing it in a way that actually did resonate with you. And I think that's where I can get hung up as well easily, is like, even though I do have, I feel like a positive relationship with social media, I don't feel like triggered by it. I really do like it. I think that it adds value to my life and I learn so much from like the accounts that I follow and everything. Like I'm super thankful for it, but I think can get in my head of, well, if I do this post, like, what does that even mean? Like, if I just post something casual and like, oh, this is what I'm doing today or whatever, like, who cares? You know, I think I can tell myself that. Is that true? Like, no, because I watch people's content that they're just talking, like they're just shooting the shit. They're just talking about, you know, what they're going through that day or what their agenda is that day. And I love that. Like, I love that kind of content. I'm just like, go off. Like, I love it. And so where are you telling yourself a story that's limiting you? Which here we are going back to, like, I guess this is the stories we tell ourselves matter part 2. I didn't know that episode was going to get a part 2, but I feel like this is actually, I mean, this is the theme that's really going to probably be talked about in every episode and module of every program, because it is so important and it's so relevant, because it's the stories that we tell ourselves become our beliefs, and our beliefs govern literally everything in our lives. So where do you need to kind of recalibrate and go, hold on, I actually do get to have it my way, and I do get to do it my way, and I get to be successful in whatever way that looks to me, and however that feels good and nourishing and not depleting to me. So if you're someone who you're like, I literally just don't like social media and I don't really want to be on, I don't want to have a presence on social media. Okay, cool. Like, grow an email list and do that. Like, do a newsletter, do a podcast, do whatever. I'm not saying that I don't want to be on social media, because I do, but I'm just like giving that as an example of, you get to choose and I get to choose and we all get to choose what is true for us and how we show up. And if, again, going back to the soul desire, soul plan, soul contract, if something is meant like in your soul plan, then whatever way you take action and that feels really aligned and good to you is going to lead you to that thing. So what do I mean by that? Here's an example. Let's say you just like really have the strong desire, soul desire, to be an author. Like, you really want to write a book. Okay. But maybe you don't want to have a podcast, and you're like, okay, no, I want to do the written word. I don't want to do all the speaking. Like, that's not how I want to portray my content. Okay. So if you're telling yourself a story of, in order to be, to have a successful book launch and everything, I need to have a podcast so people can hear me and see me if you're on video and all that. Because if you start comparing yourself to people like Mel Robbins and, other really successful authors like Gabrielle Bernstein, whether or not you like her, you can't disagree that she's a super successful author and she has a successful podcast. Jay Shetty, same thing. A lot of people. And so if you're like, okay, but I don't want to do that, I want to be an author, but I don't want to have a podcast. And that's the only way to do it successfully and have a good like book launch and have a good awareness that I even wrote a book, then you're totally limiting yourself from another way that it could come through. Like if your soul doesn't desire to have a podcast and your personality doesn't desire to have a podcast, but it does desire to be an author and to write books, then there's going to be a way for you to do that without having to do the thing that like you really don't like and like doesn't bring you fulfillment, nourishment, joy, all of that. So where in your life, and this could be in your business, like your soul pull, vocation, career, or it could be in relationships. Where are you telling yourself a certain story or like limiting yourself by thinking something has to look or feel a certain way in order for it to be like right or correct, which like what even is right and correct, it's different for each of us. Like what is right and correct for me is not going to necessarily be the same for you, because guess what? Our souls came here for different purposes, and my soul pull is something that only I can do, and that's the same for you. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. This is a little bit of a shorter episode, but that's just kind of what I'm going through right now and what I'm processing and feeling and reprogramming like in real time is the story that I'm telling myself about, well, I don't post enough, so I can't be as successful enough, or I'm not going to grow as engaged of a community because I don't share enough. And that's just how I'm feeling today. Tomorrow I could wake up and be like, oh my gosh, I just want to post. So anyway, that's my encouragement to you today, is really just ask yourself, where do you need to tweak a story, and where do you need to just decide, like, I get to have what I want. I get to do what I want in the way that I want to do it. I do not have, if it doesn't feel good to me, to model after the way someone else does it just because it works for them, because what works for them may not work for you because it's not authentic to you and your personality and your energetic blueprint and essence. And really quick, actually, another thing that I would encourage you to look at, and I'll probably do like another episode or alchemy hit about this, but human design, like just the more, it's so multifaceted and it's so deep to like, it takes a long time in my experience to really like dive into it. And so another thing to specifically back on, like, since this whole episode is pretty much about like social media and communication and sharing and storytelling and all of that, something to look at is your profile lines. So that'll be like, whenever you look up your chart, it'll be like, I'm a 6'3". I'm a projector, but it says like 6'3" projector. Yours might be a 1'4" manifesting generator or whatever. Like, so it's the numbers. It's a one number / another number. That's the thing that you want to look at to really get some insight on how you best communicate and like share things, share your medicine, your wisdom, your stories, all of that with the world. And because some people thrive when they share things like in real time, and they kind of like take you along on the bumpy road with them. Or maybe it's not a bumpy road. Maybe it's a beautifully paved, winding, like Pacific highway situation. Maybe it's gorgeous. And then some people thrive whenever they share after the fact, like after they have gone through the thing and mastered it and come out on the other side. And there's all kinds of different ways that people are meant to share and be most effective in that. And so that's another thing to look at too. If you are resonating with any of this about like social media and kind of finding your cadence and finding your magic and how you can best portray yourself and like truly communicate your essence with people online, because that's another thing I kind of feel like sometimes is difficult to do, like especially on short form content, like a reel or a carousel or, you know, a story or whatever. It's like, I find it difficult or challenging to really portray like who I am on that kind of content, where it's a lot easier on the podcast where I'm literally just talking to you for, 30 plus minutes or more. That's a little bit easier for me. So anyway, that's just a little tidbit to look into if you are interested in that. And if you're like, yeah, I want to share more of myself, but I want to do it in the most potent and authentic way to me and my energy. So have fun with that. You can chat GPT it, look at it, look up what your profile is, and then like have chat GPT tell you like what's the best way for you to share your story and your wisdom. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. I know this was a little bit less of a structured episode than my past episodes have been, but that's just where I'm at. I'm also kind of in the middle of an autoimmune flare because, as I mentioned, I was on vacation and I definitely ate and drank some things that I normally don't. And I am paying for it now with some fatigue and all kinds of stuff like that. So I'll talk about that and kind of what I'm doing to recover and rebound from that in a future episode or post. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye out. Follow me on Instagram at intuitively_Sydney, and I will talk to you next Tuesday. If this episode sparked something in you, share it with a friend who needs it. Take a screenshot, post it to your Instagram story, and tag me at intuitively_Sydney. That's SIDNEY. I would love, love, love to see who's tuning in so I can connect with you and celebrate you. Have an amazing week, and I will talk to you next Tuesday.